Hi guys, we're back for our second podcast. This is Auratannen, and I'm being co-hosted by the effervescent, juicy Momo / Shatanya Dick. And we also have our special guest, Stixen Stones.
Yo! Hi. Clap, clap, clap from inside the bathroom while I'm sleeping.
Applause is.
But I also want to plug,
Yeah,
please, for the love of God, send some money to some bail funds. Let's get it.
Period. Yes, that's true.
Period.
Yeah, it is.
I'm applauding from the bathroom while I'm sleeping.
Which is how last night
I'm
ended.
just having
The
a
sleep
great
chamber.
nap.
Oh, it was. Yeah,
It was.
Yeah, Morgan totally did sleep in another bathroom last night, but it was our own, so it was okay.
Yeah,
and
that's
also,
right.
yet again, keeping in theme, because last week I said that Morgan loves to come home from work on a Saturday and be like, let's do karaoke. And she begged to do it, but I told her no because Hannah was trying to sleep for work, so we didn't do karaoke last night.
But we did it today.
We did. I did
You did a very strange, goofy version.
You asked me to.
I mean, I love chaos. What can I say?
But you can't be like...
Goofy is not chaos. Goofy is art.
Okay,
Put that
yeah.
out there.
Period.
Please don't get it twisted.
But art is also chaos, so...
Okay, true.
I'm here for it. I'm here
Okay.
for everything that has to do
Yeah,
with...
drag is art and art is
everything's
subjective,
different.
and my art is goofy impersonations.
You are so
Get
so
into
powerful.
it.
You are so powerful at this point.
I know, I'm unstoppable, huh? So we're here today to talk about drag, trauma, and working through that with your drag. And Stixen is probably the best person to talk about this because she has a lot of trauma. No, I'm just kidding.
And I've also
wrong.
cried multiple times while hammered because of Stixen.
Yeah,
so-
definitely. She definitely is one of my favorites to look to for like inspiration as far as like actually working through emotions, because I feel like I do emotional drag, but I don't do it in the way you do. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
That's what I'm saying is
Yeah,
like me,
absolutely.
when I'm crying about trauma, I hide somewhere. Like I just go off and hide. But you turn that shit into art.
Yeah, she said.
Like
let's
I
work
just
through
go
it.
off and hide. You turn
Right.
that shit into a whole number. Like,
What would you say has been your favorite number that you've done?
I
Regarding
mean-
that or disregarding that, either way. What would be your favorites?
Ooh, I mean, honestly, I feel like the only two that really come up are the ones that we did together for Drag Me to Hell. Like, those were just like...
No, I want to talk
can't
about
top that.
the numbers where you do like the dog days are over.
I love doing those.
Those are my
Florence.
shit. Those are where I'm crying.
Okay, well, those are like happy things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
because I cried.
Well,
like
For
I'm
me, at
sitting in the
least.
audience. So as an audience member,
Audience.
wait, I'm still wearing the clown wig. As an audience member, watching you do like Florence and the Machines, like I just sob. Like I'm sobbing. I came here to have a good time and now I'm sad. But like it's a good sad. I like
Yeah.
have a fun time being sad.
That's important.
Sometimes I sit in my room alone and I'm sad, but sometimes
Right.
I go into drag shows to get sad.
That's what we do.
To
It's
get
fine.
sad.
It's fine.
Can I have a shot of sad with
Right.
a back
Yeah.
of depression?
But I want
Yeah,
to talk
absolutely.
about like behind the scenes of those.
For me, I don't know. I kind of like to think of at least my drag as like, I don't... Do you know synesthesia? Where people can see colors and stuff?
Okay, where?
Like, for me, my drag is very much like... When I listen to a song,
Yeah.
it has to... Like, the costume has to look a certain way. The
Yes.
feeling of it has to... Like, the movement of it... Like, so it all has to fit together. So it's like when I listen to Florence
And
and
it
the
ends
Machines...
up doing it, yes.
Right. When I listen to Florence and the Machines, I'm like, I feel very like, it hits me, it hits my soul in a way.
Yes.
And so I feel like when I listen to a song like that, I just imagine like what the costume looks like in my head. And I think for that one, I had like a hoop skirt,
Yes.
and I
Yeah.
had like a crown and stuff like that. And
Yes.
it's like that song in particular, but also just Florence and the Machines in general. I feel like
Literally
it's very
in
much
general.
about like just finding victory your
I was
own
gonna say like
way.
internal power.
Yeah, well, I
Yeah,
definitely
because
feel
your
that.
songs do something. Like your numbers do something
Yeah,
to me.
because you did that as your crowning song, and I do want to go back to the finale
Absolutely.
of Drag Me to Hell. Not because
Yeah.
I was in it, but
I mean,
But also, that is one where I was in it and I was sobbing the whole time. I was uncontrollable. Like,
No,
I
same.
was like,
Yeah.
I could not, like, at one point, I literally, like, you can hear in the video, I had a guttural scream where I was
Yeah.
genuinely terrified. And it wasn't because I was, like, acting. It was because I was literally like, this is part of my history, too. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so, like, for me, like, being dragged off by, like, the suicide demon, like, it was like, this for me is, like,
That one
looking back
hurt
at my
me
8th grade self, like, I literally screamed for my life. I said, please help.
Yeah.
And, like, that was something that I was like, I would never have thought to, like, go that deep with my own drag until I was in your number showing me that I could.
Well, that's the thing, though. Is, I mean, I feel like I didn't really do that until we did the cutting
Until you were presto, yeah.
Yeah, because I was
And that was an iconic number. That was another one to have a moment for. Yeah. That was really intense. We were both crying during that. Like,
that's what's crazy, though, is those numbers, I didn't cry in.
I was going to say, you didn't cry during. Yeah, but I think that's also because you were intending on creating that atmosphere. Yeah. And I think also it was part of your character. Absolutely. It would be not weaker to cry, because it's never weak to cry, but it would have been in that character. Yeah. Because that character is facing those and being either the perpetuator of that issue, or they're being like, I am saving from this. So if you were to come out and be like, I'm sobbing while I'm saving you from your eating disorder and your suicide and like your greed and like shit like that, it wouldn't have made it as powerful for you to be crying as well. True. But I think for me to be playing past you, and also, honestly, I've never really mentioned this, but also facing my own inner things that we've both had a similar journey with, both eating disorders and cutting and shit like that. So it was kind of a way for me to face that internally without realizing it, because in my mind, I'm like, I'm just doing a number for Stix to help her win. Right. But like externally to look back at it and be like, whoa, I was working through those same things during this number. Absolutely. You know what I mean?
Well, I think that's when I knew you and I were, I mean, I knew we were like a good pairing as far as like artistically, but I remember when we were rehearsing the cutting number in my basement years ago, we sat and talked about it for just a few minutes of just like the past that we had, and I remember being like, I'm glad that I have somebody that I can do this with, because if you've never been through it or you don't know somebody that's been through it, it's really hard to put that on stage. So I think that that's what really made those two numbers really successful, is because
we both had a pass with it, and we both knew how to address it without being
this is where I want to come in real quick.
Yeah.
So as a 26-year-old like woman, like if I have anything from my past that hurts me, I hide it and go and hide in a closet or something. Yeah. Like I go hiding
in a closet.
Okay.
I mean, you can do that. But like I hide in a closet and then just like I'll sit at work like panic attack, like ridden, like I'm terrified of everything. I hate everything I do. I don't like myself. But you like come out here and you were like,
address it
I'm making
on.
that bitch a number.
Okay.
Like me, I'm sitting in a little hole, like I don't know how you describe
Totally.
it.
Well, even for me, it's like I work through trauma with numbers, but for me, it's usually like something that I have to wait, like with the exception of the time that I did the Banks number. With the exception of that, normally I like.
Y'all hurt me.
You're welcome. Okay. Normally it takes me
as
like,
an audience member,
like,
y'all hurt me.
Like when we did the show with Erica Clash, and it was the theme was monsters, and the second number I did, that was like a homage to me finally like working through my trauma and letting go of the past with my ex. Yeah. But that took me years to do. But you're literally able to be like, this happened a week ago. I'm gonna fucking make a costume and do it now.
I love that for you so much.
But here's the thing, though, is what you're not realizing, though, is that I do the exact same thing that you do, in the sense that it's like, yeah, I sit at home and like I feel my little oats or whatever, and not that I don't process things, but I do, and that's something I'm really struggling with right now. Is just like I have a hard time walking into a space of people and being like, here's actually what's going on.
Here's my heart on my sleeve. Yeah,
right. But then the nice thing about the stage that I've learned is that it's like, whereas in my normal daily life, I have a really hard time reaching out and saying, hey, I need help. Hey, I need to talk to you about this. Like, I had a whole breakdown the other day with my roommate because I just had like a rough night at work. Well, I just had a rough night at work, and just a lot was happening in my life, just like with being trans and like with the breakup and all this stuff. And I was like, but I wasn't talking to anybody about it, and I was just sitting there and not doing anything about it. And I like it.
And it builds up.
It builds
up.
That's
what I'm saying is I sit in my own filth for so long that I have just like I panic at all times. Like I'm so scared of myself.
The stage for me is that it is less of that I'm out here being super brave in my daily life. It's
brave to me. So
well, I appreciate it, but like for me, it's like it's the stage is my space to process, and I know that. Yeah. So it's like I can at least save things and be like, hey, I'm really struggling with being trans right now. Yes. I'm going to do a number about it because I don't feel like I have the space to talk about it in my daily life, which isn't necessarily not, like, true. Like, I do have the space. Yeah. I just have to claim it. But
totally.
For me, like...
And sometimes claiming it is harder than accepting it.
And then, from my point of, like, the, off looker who's watching what you're doing, you are saying so much by doing that. Like, by just lip syncing a song.
Well, and I think that it also, both of the way that we do drag, when we do address, like, issues like that, Stixen does it way more than me, but I think that when we do address things like that are internal, I think that it gives people in the audience confidence to be able to start working on it themselves.
That's what I'm saying.
It's healing.
It's like, y'all do just a song, and I'm sitting here like, I'm not the only one who's feeling like
Yeah.
Yeah, well, because
bad.
you look around and there's 13 people crying. That's not.
Yes, it's
It's
beautiful.
not
I love
it's not
it.
a one feeling that only one person gets. It's everyone
Yeah.
is feeling that same thing and being like, whoa, this is something that maybe I didn't recognize, but now I realize this is something that I have to deal with too.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, and I think that that's what I've learned through drag is that I think other people taught me, oh, you can do stuff like that on stage and have it be meaningful and it can heal people. But I really don't think I understood it as strongly as I did after we did the cutting number because even to this day, I have people that come up to me and say, I was in the audience, I remember it.
Yeah.
I mean, people left.
It was beautiful.
Like,
Yeah, there were some people that had to leave the room because it was too deep for them.
It was
and
too
that's
tough.
like,
Yes.
and it's understandable, but that's also really sickening to be like, I'm like,
is.
not
I'm
only
not
mentioning
mad about
this,
it.
but like
It is.
mentioning it to a point where it's like, not that you want to make people uncomfortable, but it's to a point where it's so head on and so like needs to be spoken about that people can't handle it. I
But
think
honestly,
that's really
if you're
cool.
uncomfortable,
I do.
that just means you can't accept that you need to take this on at
Well,
that point.
I mean, I think
But
some
it's
people-
also
To
not only that
me-
because it could be trauma in itself and being like,
That's what I'm
I don't want to
saying.
see this, not because I have to handle it, because I already have and I don't want to go back to that.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying is like if you are leaving the area because of this, it means like you can't do this for yourself.
But I think that there's a difference because you could
Like,
also
I
be.
want-
But listen, because you could also be leaving the area saying, "I've already dealt with this. I've already worked through it. I don't want to go back to it." It could be a trigger. That's different than
guess,
saying,
yeah.
"I don't want to work on this." That's saying, "I already have, and this is triggering me, and I
that's
can't
just
be
from
in
my
here, or else I'm going to
perspective.
revert." That's different.
But also put
Because
this
I
out
went
there.
through all that too, and I still watch you and still
Sure.
Like
I mean,
I
totally.
have a different
But
outlook,
that's
'cause
just
I'm like,
you. That's just you. That's not
That's
everyone.
what I'm saying. Like for me, like sitting in the audience watching y'all, I'm like, oh
it's
shit,
taboo.
this is
And I
a
mean, I
normal
think
thing.
It is taboo, and I think that's the important part
Like
of what
to
we do.
me,
in our shows.
me sitting in the audience, I'm from bumfuck Indiana. Like I'm fucking illiterate, basically.
No, you're not.
I know. I'm just
Be
kidding.
nice to
I'm
yourself.
just kidding. But
in
I'm sitting
2020,
in
we're
the,
being nice to ourselves. Morgan.
I'm sitting in the like I almost said office. I'm sitting in the audience and I'm watching y'all, and I'm like, oh shit, somebody else feels the way
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, and I think that
And that
unity
doesn't
is
make me.
important.
But what I'm saying is that does not make me want to leave.
But that's you.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Yes, I agree with you. Like other people can feel a different way.
Well, and I think what I've learned, and I've talked to a lot of people about this, and there's one queen in town who I believe her name is Kyra, but she was telling me, she was like, I like what you do so much because you challenge people. And that's
Yeah.
really what that is. And
Yeah.
so even when I'm not doing something like that, like even when I do, like last night at Main Event, I did my Billie Eilish mix, which is just like Bad Guy and Bury a Friend.
Yeah.
And I just felt it and it
I'm
felt
just
good and I was
burping in
going
the
for it.
microphone.
But it is challenging. And it's like in that moment,
Yes.
I'm not cutting myself on stage. I'm not doing something emotional, but I'm being aggressive.
Yeah.
And the thing I think that
Yes.
people have a hard time with when it comes to alternative drag, especially, and drag that is that emotional, is that they're not always prepared for it. And I think that that's
Yes.
what, especially for me, and I'm sure for you and a lot of other alternative entertainers that I
Yes,
know,
yes.
my goal is like, nobody talks about cutting. So great. I want to talk
You
about
need
it
to.
on stage
Yes.
Yeah,
because
totally.
everybody self-harms.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yes, at some
Whether-
point in some way, whether it's cutting,
Alcohol,
whether
it could be
alcohol,
alcohol,
yeah.
food. It could be money. Like
Yes.
everybody I
Everything,
know
yes.
self-harms. And
Totally.
that's literally like I was just going through this with a bunch of my friends at Main Event where I was like, I didn't know how to say this, but I was like, you are not understanding. You are self-harming because you drink too
Yes.
much. And you can't
That's what I'm
stop and you
trying
make bad
to say.
decisions.
Yeah.
Like,
That's what I'm trying to say
Right.
is you have to be a little bit uncomfortable
but
sometimes.
see, that's what, like, even with those people, it was like, I was trying to explain to them that I was like, you're
Yes.
uncontrollable and you're hurting yourself because you're so upset about your life.
Yes.
unwilling to
But
make changes.
They're
Yeah.
not willing to accept
Yes.
that, and they were like, well, no, we're just having fun, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, the truth to it all is that a lot of people are either, when you do shit like that, a lot of people are either not ready to accept it or they're not
Yes.
open,
Yes.
or they are...
But that still gets them thinking at the end of the
Yes,
night.
and that's all that matters.
Yes.
That's
You're
what I'm
trying-
It's starting
trying
the
to say.
conversation.
Well, and I think what I've always realized in my life is, and I was just talking to Anita Melody about this the other day, was just the idea that it's like, in the long run, I have to place the message. Like, I was really nervous
Yeah.
about doing I'm Here from The Color Purple the other day. I was just like, well, I don't want to be insensitive. But when you listen to that song, it is a very queer-centric in the sense that
Yes.
it's like...
I've not
it's-
heard the songs.
It's really beautiful. You definitely have to listen to it. But it's very much just like, I don't need you to love me. And it's very much where I'm at in my life right now, where it's like, I may not have much, but what do I have? I have my chair, I have my roof, I have my friends.
Yeah.
And it's like she's counting all the things she has, and then she's like, I'm going to put my head up, and I'm gonna... like my favorite line is she says, I believe that I have everything it takes to live a bountiful life. And I feel like that is so
important
queer.
to learn and hear. Yeah,
it's so queer to hear that. And I mean, it's obviously so like any minority where it's like if you're pushed down and you're made to believe you don't
you aren't
have,
enough or you're worse than or whatever.
Right.
Yeah,
that is so good for everybody to hear. But what I'm saying is I think that I get nervous about doing those numbers a lot, but I always like to feel like, for me, and I don't know how you are about this, but for me, drag is about connecting with, like, queer people from the past, or, like, that energy that the universe gives out. And I always have to trust that there's, like, at least one person in the audience that needs it, and they're going to be the ones to stay in the room. They're going to be the ones that are going to sit there and accept it. It's you hammered, right. It's you hammered.
It's Morgan in the bathroom.
I need some support
Or it's Bertha controlled. You never know. One or the other. But
anyways,
you have to sort of trust that, like, the universe has at least one person there that's
well,
ready to
and I really do believe in, like, everything happens for a reason, and maybe that reason that you're performing the song is to give that power to somebody else. You know what I mean? Like, it's that simple. I think that everyone needs to... Yes, it might be uncomfortable to do alternative drag and to face subjects head on like that, but also it's needed and it's necessary because it's something that should be talked about, especially in the queer community, where there is so many people that, like, harm themselves and are scared of themselves and are, like, afraid to be themselves.
Killed.
Exactly, and like, people are scared to walk around because we're fucking being slaughtered on the streets.
Right.
Like, trans black women are being fucking killed. It's not okay. Yeah. Like, that's the kind of thing where it's like, yes, we do need to face those subjects head on. The same way that I did last year during Pride when I drugged the TV across the room and then I smashed it with a baseball bat.
Yeah.
Like,
it didn't
that's...
get smashed, by the way.
It didn't get smashed. I needed to add a nail to it. Whatever. We'll do it one day.
It was a choice.
Whatever. And now I can just recreate it and use it for another number, so it's fine.
We
but
tried.
anyway, but yeah.
That's your soul. You just, like, you get hammered down.
Woo,
your soul will not break.
Even that's a metaphor. Work. Yeah, we love metaphors. While Morgan is sprinting for a second.
Yeah.
I want to expand more on your finale number.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Yeah, so, like, I know we were driving home the week before talking about the finale and deciding, like, not deciding, but talking about, like, what concepts you should go for. Yeah. And we mentioned, like, we should bring back the past monsters and I should be tortured by them and shit like that.
Oh, do you guys have a video of that?
We do, and I can link it in the description of this video, too. Yeah. But I do want to ask, okay, so, like, as far as the finale goes, like, I know that we were talking about the concept of it. How did you figure out, like, the execution? What song you would use? What, like, looks you wanted to bring back? What, like, the words that you said, too? Because you gave monologues in that. You know what I mean? Like, how did you expand and decide on those?
Honestly, a lot of my ideas come to me when I'm driving around in the car. And that was one thing that I would do. I mean, honestly, though, I was literally just listening to a song, preparing for, I'll probably either do it Tuesday or Thursday, but I was like, I love this song, and I just keep listening to it, and I'll perform it in my car. But that's...
I do that, too. I'm driving around like...
that song, both of the songs that I used, Oblivion, which is, it's from some movie.
Kingdom Hearts, isn't it?
No, it's not actually.
Oh.
I don't remember what it's from, but it's from some movie. I can pull it up.
I feel like it's like Inception or some shit.
It's something weird like that.
I'm just gonna sit back and be quiet because I don't know.
But then the other one that I used is from a Netflix show. It's M83. It's called Oblivion.
Yes.
We're not playing it right now, but
anyways.
But it just came up in like songs you should listen to or something like that. And I was listening to it, and I just started to, like, talk through it.
Yeah.
And that was really what got me.
So you were just talking through the tune of the song.
Put it on the record that we're all wearing
like
pink
not recorded. You were
clown
literally
wigs.
just, like, practicing, or not practicing, but just, like, talking and thinking through while you were listening to it?
Yeah, because what I was doing is I was scared to do it. Because I was like, this feels...
Well, and you were
really
scared
personal.
to do a lot of your challenges, I will say. Which is so strange, because for me, I did awful when I did Drag Me to Hell and Fame. And the entire time I was like, yeah, I'm fucking cool. Like, I literally, like, Vivica asked me the last week that I was there, the Alien week, and she was like, Aura, she was like, I feel like you just come off so confident. Like, she was like,
so
I sit here
but
in
Vivica
fear.
is similar to me in that way.
Exactly, and Vivica was like, I sit here in
out.
fear every week, and I'm so scared, and I don't know what to do. But she was like, but you literally, like, I was like, the thing for me is that it's like, it's not that I'm inherently confident that I'm going to do well. It's more so like, I've already planned on this, and like, this is all that I have now, so if it doesn't go well, cool, I'll fucking do an elimination and stay, or I will go home. But, like, this is what I prepared, and this is what I'm proud of. Like, I look cool. So that's what I'm caring about.
When you're hiding in your bunker really deep and dark about yourself,
I'm still gonna think I look cool.
Confidence, guilt there.
It's good. I mean, that's important. Most people don't have that.
I have none of that. I hide in bunkers at all times.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's something that I always have to remind myself is that it's like a lot of times I'll go out and I'll be like, I don't know what I'm doing. This is so stupid. Or it's too vulnerable. Like with the finale, I was like, this is too vulnerable. And I was sitting there monologuing to myself what I would say in the monologue. And I was like, that's the voice that I've learned. Because I was telling Anita this, and she was like, yeah, I have a hard time doing emotional numbers. And I was like, honestly, the voice that tells me to not do something
is the
after
voice you
doing
need
those
to
two numbers, that's the voice where I'm like, well, then I have to do it because the voice is telling me
that I'm not good enough to do it.
You know, you're being pissy, you're trying to get attention,
and then you come out and make me cry.
Right, well, it's like, that's the voice that I've learned that I'm like, the voice of that is not the voice of fear, and it's telling me I shouldn't do something because it's actually going to make an impact.
Definitely.
So we're talking about, like, you know what we're talking about. So I want to ask a question to both of y'all.
Sure.
Okay.
So as a, like, just old-ass bitch.
Old-ass bitch.
I, like...
You're not even... You're the middle person here.
Come on.
You're the middle person here.
Wait, just be quiet. Just be quiet. So, as... You can be an old-ass bitch with me if you want. So, as an old-ass bitch, I sometimes, like, you know, go off on some... like, I go off on some other things.
Okay.
And embarrass myself to myself. Like, it's not embarrassing when other people explain it to me. But when I hear what I do, I'm like, I'm so embarrassed.
Right.
Yeah.
But, like, it's the smallest thing. Like, it's the smallest thing.
Yeah.
Totally.
Like, literally, I do something very small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you'll explain to me that it was not that bad.
Right.
Yeah.
But
so
when
what's your question?
Bitch, shut up. This is the question. So, how do you handle, like... So, if I'm at work and having a badass panic attack because I think I am a monster, how do you deal with, like... knowing that you are not the monster that you think you are? Because I always assume that I am a fucking monster.
Right. I guess for me, it's kind of like recognizing that it's like, this is just a voice and this is just a temporary feeling because it's not something that I'm going to get stuck with for the rest of my life. And like, yes, sometimes, especially in a panic attack, it's very hard to recognize that this is not a forever feeling. But like, I sit down and I tell myself, you know what, like, you have done so much already. Like, you've toured, you've worked, you make your own money, like, you're living in your own house, you're not dependent on anyone. Why do you feel this way? And I kind of talk myself down in that way by, like, recognizing all the greats that I do have. You know what I mean? Like, even if I'm feeling bad about, like, oh, this number went wrong, or, like, oh, like, this isn't turning out the way I want it, like, I still sit there and say, you know what, but look at all the things you have done, and look at what you can do to improve these things that you are feeling down about. And I think that's what it is talking yourself down and just being more kind to yourself, more like allowing yourself to have that power to come back from it. What do you feel?
I agree with that. No, I feel like that's very on brand. I kind of try to think, because even like sitting here talking about the finale number, my memories of that, I only have one memory, and my memory is all I can remember is you screaming, and I remember me screaming at one point, and I remember how...
When you first came out.
Right, I remember how many times, because I had knives strapped to my arms, how many times I, like, would push one of the girls down to, like, kill her or whatever, and then my knives kept getting stuck under people, and that's all I can remember, and I keep being embarrassed about it, because I'm like, all I remember...
You want to know what? All that I remember is me screaming and then hugging you.
Yeah,
that's all I remember.
I remember the end, too. Like, I remember our moment at the end. But...
And that's when I was uncontrollably
I remember, yeah.
Too, again,
Wait,
like,
one more
that was
time
when I was
for the record,
uncontrollable.
We're all wearing pink clothes.
We sure are. But I also remember, even when I remember how sweet that moment was and how good it was, all I can remember
You can't help but to think about the things that went wrong.
Well, I can remember the knives thing, and I remember how twice during the end of that number, Jade kept cutting it off because she thought it was the end. And in my brain, I'm embarrassed about that, but what I have to remember is no one... I feel like, in general, everyone's perspective on you is different than yours.
Definitely.
So it's like, while all I remember is those two things, other people will not even have known that I
Yeah.
got those knives stuck under everybody and that I was
Yeah.
struggling with it.
Because I was sitting on stage and I didn't see it. So,
Good.
like...
Well, I
That's
thought,
what I'm saying,
oh,
is,
the
like,
judges are
other
going to get me
people
for
see
it. They're
in a
going to
different
know. They're
way.
going to
They're
see
gonna
it.
clock.
Me, I'll sit and like just
Yeah.
fester in how bad I am.
But you're your own worst critic, and
Honestly,
that's the
I'm the
thing.
worst.
That's true.
It's
Because
like,
have you heard
you
how
notice
people view you 10% more attractive than you view
Absolutely.
yourself? And I
Yeah.
agree with that because
And we're all
sometimes I look in
wearing
the mirror and I'm like, I'm
Harleys,
fucking
so-
hot, and sometimes I look in the mirror and I'm like,
What's up?
wow, I'm fucking hideous. And
I'm a
someone's like,
monster,
this is the best
right?
you've looked in a while. And it's
Yeah.
like, whoa, well then...
Yeah, my
Half of it
favorite
is that.
moment of my life is the time that I came home. We were driving home and I'm drunk and I'm like, I just hate myself. I'm so
Aw.
embarrassed of me. And you made me stand in the mirror and
I
say
did
that
do
I
that.
love myself and that I'm beautiful.
I did force you, and did it help?
No, I still hate myself.
Well...
But, but it did help for the night.
Yeah.
Well then...
But the next day I still woke up in hatred. I hid
Oh.
under a blanket for a while.
I woke up in hatred too, but it's usually about other people.
See,
Real.
that's the thing. I can hate other people
Yeah.
as well as myself.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
my
if you
thing.
can't hate yourself, how are you going to hate
We don't have
somebody
to
else?
focus on one
Opposite.
thing.
Otherwise, though, because I find that the more self-loving I am, the more gentle I am with other people.
Yeah,
Like,
totally.
In
But
traffic,
that's like
I'm like, oh, you're going so slow, fuck you. But it's like, in reality, I'm not happy with myself. Whereas,
Yes.
the more self-loving I am, like, if I'm feeling good about myself that day,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's fine. Like, I'm going to let these people walk in front of me so they, you know what I mean? Like,
Yes,
Yeah.
so
oh, it's
I
fine
run
that you're walking
through,
slow. Like,
when it's like people walk, I run through it so other people can drive.
yeah, absolutely.
I just
do
love
too.
everyone else but hate myself is my
Right.
issue.
But you'll love people even more when you learn to love yourself because
I
that's
can't
the
wait
journey
till
I'm
that
on.
day. I cannot wait.
You
till
have to
that day.
see the problem though is you do what I do and this is my new journey that I've been on since the
Yes.
breakup is that I literally the more that I expect myself to get treated like shit, it's gonna happen because I'm
it's speaking into the
allowing it.
universe.
Yeah.
I'm speaking it into the universe, and not to say that I deserve it, but the truth of it all is that
There
I
you
was
go.
spending forever in my life waiting for a man to come along to help me learn to love myself, and I realized that it's like
Yes.
that's attracting the wrong energy. And in general, in the universe, I really feel like the more that you take the extra steps to figure out how to
Yeah.
love yourself, that's when the universe responds. But in
Yeah.
in the long
Totally.
term,
And I think that's the hardest part is
like-
figuring out how to love yourself.
Yeah.
And figuring out the best way to process that and
That's
further
my question
it.
is
Absolutely.
how do you get to that point?
you have to be intentional.
For me, I've always been overconfident, so I really can't answer this one, but
Yeah.
That's my issue is that I'm overconfident.
Here's what you have to do. Today and then tomorrow and for 30 days,
Yes.
look in the mirror and say 10 nice things about yourself. Even if it's sometimes I forget to do it and I'll do it in the car, but
But how do I go about it if I only have 5?
then you
See,
find
you started
something. Because
with it.
I can name 10 about you.
Yeah,
You have pretty
same.
eyes. You have good makeup skills. You have great hair. You're good at dyeing hair. You have great fashion. You,
funny.
Wow,
You're funny.
You just went off on me.
You're
and I
funny.
did not even know these things
You're
about
funny.
me.
You're cool.
you make everybody in the room feel really included. That's
Definitely,
what you do.
definitely.
really
And
love.
I also make everyone in the room feel like better about themselves by looking
You do.
at me.
Great. So that's a 9th. And then a 10th is that you
That was a
also.
dig at you though. That was a
Wait,
dig
yeah,
at you.
yeah. That's the difference is that you
So
can't
take it
include
back.
that extra part because
my
that extra part is
problem.
what gives the negativity that power. And the 10th thing I would say is that you are very open to everyone. Like, not only do you make people feel included, but you are
Yeah.
open to all walks of life,
definitely did
and you
give-
fight for them too, which is an extra
Yeah,
step. So
I
that's 10
did
things right
catch
there.
it.
That's 10 things
Yeah.
right there. That's great about you.
I definitely did make up a whole new sexual preference as horny the other day.
Great. So
I
that's
mean,
11.
As we do. 11. But my therapist told me, because I was like,
Yeah.
she was like, honestly, there's been the significant amount of changes that people have seen in their lives if they really stick to doing affirmations every day.
Yes.
Yeah.
And doing like gratitude journals and stuff every day. It's really like made a big change scientifically. But what she was saying is, I was like, I have a hard time sometimes finding, the 10 things to say. And she was
Yeah.
like, I was like, I don't know if I can say I'm a good person. And she's like, well, what can you say? You start with what can you say, and you start with, maybe I'm not the best person. Maybe you don't say it like that, but it's like,
Yeah.
I try my best. It doesn't
Yeah.
mean, that's
I
not
mean,
saying
I
I'm
guess
a
you
great
are
person.
saying that you're working towards it. Yeah.
Right. It's not saying I'm the best person ever in the world. It's saying I do my best every day. Does that mean that I'm always successful?
Perfect
No.
or no.
If you
yeah.
can't
Okay.
say I'm attractive, you can
Because,
say there are qualities
like-
about me that somebody would find attractive.
Like me,
Yeah.
I
You know what I
want to
mean?
be
Like-
perfect all the time.
That's
Is
your
my
Leo
issue.
ass.
Girl, well, so do I though. We
That's
all
where
do.
Yeah,
I go
totally.
wrong. That's probably where
Another
I
thing
go
I do, I don't really do the self-affirmations just because I've never really... I just haven't. But what I do is when I'm do. Come on,
He's
do.
like, poop, poop, poop.
Yeah. Poopy girl coming at you live.
Please welcome to Dave, poopy girl.
Pinky wants to
Dated on him.
shitted on him. But what I end up doing is when I'm serving or when I'm working with a customer, every time I do this subconsciously, I don't even mean to.
Yeah.
But every time that I walk up to a table to check up on them, like even I'm just like, oh, like, can I get you any water? I will walk up to them and under my breath I will say, okay, awesome.
Yeah.
I'll just walk up and say, okay, awesome. And I'll be like, can I get you any water? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, cool, I'll be right back.
Yeah.
And then I come back and I say, okay, awesome again, and I pour it.
See, when I
And that for me is enough for me to be like, I'm doing a great job because I'm affirming before I even do the activity that I am doing an awesome job.
Absolutely.
But my issue with that is I was born and raised a certain way to where the ideal of what I'm supposed to be at my age is I'm supposed to be married with kids and have a house.
Yeah, and
somewhere.
I mean, me too. I was
I
supposed to bring a blonde home
think-
from college. But I think that's where it comes with a certain level of unlearning, where you have to say, you know what, I recognize maybe this is what people want from me, but this is not what I am, and
That's
this is not what I want for me.
Kids.
Exactly, exactly.
I kind of want a house.
Exactly. So that's
But I
in that
also
case,
still live in a
that's
house.
not something. I mean,
You have to spill your own tea, and by that I mean, like, for me, I grew up homeschooled. I grew up basically in a cult, in my opinion.
I feel like I was born.
Right. Well, and the
as
thing
well.
about it is that what you have to realize is that you're going to have to unlearn a lot of shit, and I
I'm
work through that
trying to.
every day, and it's going to take you a long time. But you have to realize, though, is that it's like the lives of the people that you were around when you were younger, the people that fucked you up, even,
Yeah.
I mean, even looking at, like, past relationships and stuff like that,
Put
it's
him
like...
on an island and nuke it.
I mean, not that, but what I'm saying is, like, I have to look back at the parents that not the parents, but, like, the adults that I grew up with and the pastors
Yes.
and all these people that meddled in my life and kind of ruined a lot for me. It's like, I have to realize that it is their brokenness and their own
Yep.
bullshit.
Yeah.
hurt people.
Right, that
Should
they
I
brought
go
into
on
my
an
life.
Alex Jones tangent?
No,
Oh!
not at all. On that note, should we take a quick break?
Yes.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, we'll be right back.
Not at the end.
And we're back. So we are here once again. This is myself, auratannen, my co-host, Shatanya Dick / Juicy Momo, and the one and only Mother Monster Stixen Stones.
What's good?
What's good?
What's good?
What's good?
What's happening?
I don't really know what to talk about. What are you guys going to talk about?
Okay, so I don't know. This is sort of based on trauma, but here's my question.
Okay.
And I don't know. Okay.
No.
'Cause- Okay, you're right. I was
Do what
talking.
you want. That's
I've
what
talked
this
to
is about.
people before. I don't know how to pose this as a question, but I've talked to people before about you also about doing if I were going to do Drag Race or something like that. And
I've had a lot of thought about this recently, actually.
okay, well, what I was going to ask you is because whenever people say that, I always think that I would like to do Drag Race simply because I immediately my brain goes straight to Sasha Velour
Yeah.
and how many things she
I've
did.
had so many queens tell me I look like her, and I'm like, that was just when I
Okay.
was bald. I've also,
Yeah.
you know, who
Just 'cause I'm
I've
bald,
also got
bitch.
compared to, fuck, what's her name? Top 4 of Dragula season 3, Priscilla Chambers.
Priscilla.
I've been compared to her
I
a
could
lot
see that.
too.
I could
Just
definitely
'cause
see
you're
Priscilla.
bald?
No, she wasn't
Priscilla's not
bald.
blonde.
No,
Or
I was talking
bold.
about the before thing.
I could see like the aesthetic a little bit and like the way you paint just a little bit. It is very graphic.
I'm open to it.
But I was gonna say because I think all the time about that Sasha Velour runway where she had like the cage, and it was like
Yes.
very emotional. What runway
Sasha
would you
Velour
like to
makes
see on
me feel
Drag
some
Race?
things.
Same. That would describe that kind of fashion or that kind of art because it's like I really think that that's what Drag Race needs more of is like more emotional runways that are like really evocative and really emotional and
Yes.
vulnerable.
Okay.
But I don't know what that looks like. Like what is that
But like
called?
everything for me about like Drag Race that makes me feel some shit is Evie Oddly. Like Evie makes me
Yeah.
cry, sob, whatever. But it's like in a weird way where she's just so strange. Like she's just like
She is really
I'm
strange.
doing some weird shit and somehow it makes me cry.
I mean, the thing about Evie, though, is she is a really great persona when it comes to... Because I'm not, like, her hugest fan or anything like that. But
Yeah,
I
no,
think the
me
thing about
neither.
her is she's
But
been
I
through
love
so
her.
much.
It's just
And it's hard to watch her sometimes because you know that she's not going to be able to do that forever with her condition.
Yeah.
I think that that's something that's really
that's
beautiful
what I love.
for her art is that it's like... she is so strong, and she's like literally doing everything she
Yes.
possibly can while she still can, and then one day she won't be able to do it anymore, and that's
Yeah.
so hard. That's
Definitely.
so hard.
It's
No,
hard
no,
not knowing the
I
time
love
limit on
it.
your work.
Absolutely. Well, I was just talking to my roommate about that.
Because of the bad
Um,
reasons. I love
yeah.
it because she is like that bitch. She's literally that.
She is
bitch.
cool.
Well, how do you feel about the time limit thing? Because I was just talking about my roommate Amanda about that the other day, because she was like, I was like, yeah, like I just feel like with my skin and stuff, like I'm really trying to take care of it, but it is scary because eventually you age out of drag.
Yeah.
Eventually you're that old woman that that everyone's like, oh, she used to be a big
crusty and
deal.
just, like, yeah.
She can't paint anymore. Her
Totally.
skin's not good. She
See,
can't
me
dance.
As a depressed person, like you're gonna die someday, anyways. Might as well
Right.
go all out.
But my thing is, what I'm saying is, I've chosen drag as a career. The problem
Yes.
then becomes eventually
When do I
you age
finish
out
that
of
career?
drag. Yeah, eventually you can't
When would
do
you
it
stop
anymore.
doing
Do
drag?
forever.
I don't think I ever would, but here's the thing. My concern is the only drag queen that I've ever seen who has taken like my aesthetic or a similar aesthetic and has still made it cool and sexy is Joey Arias.
Okay.
I think she's from Vegas, and I really love her, but she's very dark and sexy and stuff like that. And she still wears a lot of bondage stuff, but she is an older queen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But my issue is I feel like the expected behavior pattern is once you're over the age of 40 or 50,
fuck that.
you have to become a comedian queen. You have to be...
Yeah, that's
Like,
tea.
it's- you can't
that's
be
why
funny.
I want fuck that.
No, I agree.
I mean, agreed.
do
And I
too.
think
want
also
everybody to do
I-
just what the fuck they want. Just
well,
do
and
what
I
they
think
want.
I think also there's going to be an influx of older queens that are good at drag, that are more
I hope so.
that are more well shown because of
Yeah.
Drag Race, frankly.
I agree with that.
Because like I can't imagine like a
that's
day
the
where I'm like,
thing.
oh, Katya looks busted.
No, you're right.
I can't imagine
I'm
a day where I'm like,
seeing.
oh, like Adore Delano, she's ugly as fuck. Like, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, I would not picture that. I feel
Right.
like yeah, you might get
But for me,
less
you can
talented with
evolve
painting,
your
but
doing
also
to
like
fit your
I think it also
age.
depends on
Yeah.
your performance too, and like you don't
Right.
have to be. I mean, neither of us are stunt queens. I do a backbend, but that's
Right.
it. Like neither
Oh,
of us
well,
are like.
No, hold on. Somebody
No.
jumped off of a
You did be jumping
a
on
ledge
the table.
and did jump
Well,
off
what
and
I'm
went into a
saying,
split.
even
I
if you
do
are,
like to jump. I
Even
do
if
like to
you are
jump.
like 80 years fucking old and you want to do drag, just fucking do it.
Well, I'm
Yeah,
not saying you
as
can't,
long as
but
you're
I'm
not Charlie
saying-
Hyde.
Just because you can't jump off a table anymore doesn't mean you can't jump on this shit and
Yeah.
do something else.
I mean,
It's
totally.
true.
But also, I think for me,
evolving your drag, it's evolving like what you are physically capable
Well,
of
yeah.
doing.
I mean,
but we're talking about in the sense of both of us are planning on doing drag for a very long time. So we're talking about
Which
when
is
would
what
it
I
end
want.
in doing so.
That's
Because
what
like
I
I
want.
don't want to be a 60-year-old that's like, yeah, I'm going out and fucking painting my face for an hour and a half and then
Right.
But people
walking
do that.
around. Yeah, totally. But that's not what I want to do. I think for me it's also inherently a little bit a different of a question because like I don't intend on doing drag forever. I don't intend on doing it even till I'm 60. I want to work on horror movies. Like I want to
Sure.
do makeup for horror movies. I want to like my dream is to recreate Hellraiser and like
Absolutely.
shit like that. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
and like make more movies with like
Well,
the
if you
people
need
who made
someone to be the
Insidious,
Blob.
James Wan. Yeah, period.
Baby.
Butterball? Yeah. You do, no, okay.
thing.
If you were a Cenobite, which one would you be? I feel like you would be the female Cenobite.
I'd
Probably,
be
yeah.
the female Cenobite as well.
Yeah.
I feel like I would be
No,
either...
I'd be Butterball.
Well, I was like,
Okay.
if in this movie you're playing Pinhead, then
I assume I
would
would,
be-
but I would
Butterball.
also be very open to playing Chatterer, the one that's just the teeth that's like...
No, I'm
Well,
Chatterer.
if you're not gonna play,
No,
if you're
I
not
am
gonna play
legitimately Chatterer.
Pinhead, I'll play Pinhead, but I also would love to be the female Cenobite. So either way,
I feel like,
Just because I want to be the female Cenobite does not mean that I am
She's
not
sticking
Chatterer.
it.
you'd be that one, like,
There's
worm
two
creature
female
that
Cenobites, right?
shows... No,
oh, there's just the one.
there's... Well, okay, so I'm actually mad about this. Let's expand on this. I'm mad about the fact that in the movies, all the Cenobites have a name except for the female Cenobite. So there's Chatterer, Pinhead, Butterball, and the female Cenobite.
What? I thought
She
her name
doesn't
was like
have a name.
Angelique or some shit.
No, that's the demon in the fourth movie who is the Princess of Hell.
Oh, maybe that's what I'm
That
thinking
Pinhead,
of.
she comes in as like a normal looking human, and Pinhead says, "Reveal yourself," and forces her to become a Cenobite, and then she's the one with the peeled scalp.
Oh, which one is this?
Either the fourth or the fifth. That's
Okay.
Angelique.
I'm gonna have to
You're
watch
good, yeah.
that.
Yeah, you're good.
I was just thinking the other day that I was like, I haven't watched anything after 2, so I was just thinking that I might.
3 is really good too. That one,
Gosh.
okay, so like, have you watched Jeepers Creepers?
I have.
Okay,
well, I
wait.
just watched the first one the other day for the first time.
Oh, okay.
But I
So
haven't
like
watched the second one.
the first one is like horror. The second one is kind of like action horror, like where it's more like action adventure / horror.
Yeah.
I'd say that's how the third Hellraiser is.
Okay,
where
work.
it's like he comes back, but then it's like, oh, I'm going to kill 100 people at once. So it's not as like
Right.
scary as the other two in the sense that it's not as localized. It's
Yeah.
literally like he's like, I'm causing chaos.
Okay.
But that's a really cool one because that's when they start like the Cenobite challenge in Dragula.
Yeah.
Where they did like, how would you die and how would you come back as a Cenobite?
Yeah.
I think the third one is based, or I think the challenge is based on the third
Oh.
one because there's a cameraman who's recording and he gets killed and he has a camera in his eye and it's like shooting
What
forward
would
the whole
you do?
time. What would I do?
Yeah, what would you do?
I would probably. I think I would come back and I would have a mullet, but on the sides of my head, I would
Okay.
have like knives through my head.
Ooh.
And then like going down, like I would wear my like body corset that I have that is like the diamonds up and like the straps, but I would have knives coming out of that too.
Yes.
And I think that that would basically be me. I think I would do something with knives.
I think I would be too. I've always wanted to have like knives for fingers and then have like a almost like a T-Rex spinal column with like
That would be fucking
fully
sick.
knives, just like
That
from
would be sick.
the tip of the head all the way to the base of
Well,
the
let's do a
spine.
twin look, a twin Cenobite look with knives.
Oh,
I'm
I
into
will.
it. And then we can do what's like a song with two people. Wait, okay, so I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So originally we were supposed to be booked for a Halloween show in Cleveland.
We were, yeah.
I was going to do a Hellraiser mix.
Let's do it.
And I was going to do my eye patch look that I've been doing.
Yeah.
Except I was going to put nails through it to be sticking out and then glue it on.
Yeah.
And then I was going to do nails like all across my mohawk line.
Love that.
And I would have done a mix with, I don't know what I would have done as far as the songs yet, because now I don't have to worry about it really.
Yeah.
But like at the time I would have done like where like the monologues where he's like, the box, you opened it, we came.
Yeah.
And then I would have come on and been like, oh. But what would you have done for the Halloween show?
I don't know. I haven't thought about it yet. I hadn't gotten there yet, quite frankly. It was sort of depends because I feel like Halloween I usually have to like take stock and figure out what the fuck my life is gonna turn out to be because because every Halloween I do a theme. So last Halloween I did all
Classic horror,
and then the one before that I think I did Disney villains. I don't know if I think I've never officially done like Jason, Freddy, Mike Myers.
I've
done Jason and Freddy, but I haven't done.
Oh, you have done
like,
Freddy. Yeah.
Michael Myers. I haven't done. Well, I did Pinhead sort of.
When?
One time. I actually did Pinhead for my makeup class in college.
Okay.
And that was my final look.
Have you seen, I was put to shame by Got Mick.
Oh.
Because their Pinhead is
stunning.
girl.
Have you heard that they're probably on season 13?
And I'm obsessed,
I'm
yes.
into it. I was like,
Have
thank
you
God.
heard that, well, I texted you about this, but I'll mention it anyway. RuPaul is flying out queens and quarantining them for 2 weeks and then filming All Stars 6.
I'm not surprised.
I'm not surprised either because, I mean, they have to keep it going. Stixen just morphed her afro wig into a mohawk and it looks really
Not
good.
morphed.
Honestly, were these wigs yours originally? Because I don't know where they came from.
I gave them to you because I bought them for my pink,
the poodle look.
my pink poodle look because I had the
Okay,
yeah.
let's get back on track somehow.
Let me take it back. Because
Okay.
here was my thought while you were sitting there talking. My thought is this. I think that what makes trauma and alternative performers so successful is because my thought was, I was hearing you talk and then I was like, well, what would I do if I was going to go into the horror film franchise? Which I would love to do, and I would love to take Stixen into that realm and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But my thing is, I was like, oh, what I would do is I would do creatures that are based on trauma. I think some of the really successful horror villains and horror monsters are based on things that are
Traumatic.
our deepest human fears that
Yeah.
are oftentimes
Totally.
like
And we
trauma
are
or
Well,
living
because that's
in-
true. Because when you think about it, like Hellraiser, that's pain.
But
like,
even right now,
like Michael Myers, that's like toxic family members.
but like even right
things
now,
like
we're
that.
living in such a world of fear.
absolutely
Like everyone is scared of everything.
I mean, even like Freddy, that addresses like insomnia.
my kite monster look that I do for the
Yeah.
chasing kites.
Yeah,
number,
but it's not like
it's
a
not
bad
about
fear.
scaring anybody. It's about portraying
It-
the feeling of being trapped.
Like my self-look is a polarizing look, but it's not something that I'm doing to work through emotional things. I'm literally just wanting to be terrifying. So I
Right.
think
That's
that there's
what I'm
an
saying.
equal side to
That's what I'm
both.
trying to say. Is like I
I
go
feel like-
to a show later and one of y'all do some scary ass number, and I'm like, that's just fucking tight.
I think people aren't always prepared for that, but I think that
Yeah,
that's what I
I
like so
agree.
much about horror is that like I read an article a long time ago that basically said like what we create horror-wise, like vampires is based on the fear of
Yeah.
immigrants.
Yeah.
Zombies are
Yes.
based on the fear of
Yes.
capitalism. And
That's
like
why I was
being
talking about Alex
mindless.
Jones because of this.
And so ever since then, I've always looked at horror that way because I'm like, I think that's really interesting because it's like if you take some of
Yes.
these horror tropes and like I even read an article.
They
like,
base
that
a
was
lot of
different
fear
article.
off of being scared of people who are not like them.
Right.
Yes.
Well, and there's like an article that talks about how slasher films, a lot of them are based on the fear of sex. And like knives,
Yeah.
That's
isn't that
tea, huh?
interesting?
I didn't think
Knives
about
are
that.
phallic, and so if you have a phallic knife entering somebody's body, like, and like then that goes into
Huh.
like violence against women or whatever, or like
Yeah.
even the movie
Yeah.
Alien. The entire movie is based on trying to make men uncomfortable with the idea of rape, and like
Totally.
that's literally all the director was talking about. It's just, like-
Alien?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
I've
all
not
about-
seen Alien, so I
Well,
need
when
to
you
watch
see
it
you'll
at
know,
this
because
point.
it's
good.
very much like
The one
all
with
of
Mel
the films
Gibson?
are phallic. No, not Alien. That like Alien, like the movie with
Like-
Sigourney Weaver.
Oh.
Because the aliens have like
Like,
this
I always
phallic
feel
shape,
like
Yeah, they
every
do.
single thing has some kind of
face
agenda.
hugger.
Which I appreciate.
right, that's right, absolutely.
Give me
That's
more
what
phallic
I'm looking
shapes.
That's what I'm
for.
saying is like that's why I listen
Yeah.
to this podcast. It's because Alex Jones is such a fucking racist, homophobic bullshitter
Yeah.
that he makes everything about race
Yeah.
or like about like gay people are bad or like
Well,
everything.
that's
he
his
just
fear, and that's where
he's
that
scared
comes
of
down to
it. So
He's
he
scared.
makes up news
Yeah.
to scare other people.
He's fucking scared.
There are people out there that are so scared of gay people. There's people out there that are so scared of brown people. There's people out there so scared of black people. They're so they're so scared of women.
Yeah.
I will say I
That
am
they
scared
have-
of gay people.
I am also scared
Same.
of you.
Yeah.
Just you.
Just me.
That's it, just me.
I'm not scared of.
But, like-
I'm just scared of Laura. That's it.
Just Sora.
How do you guys feel about like the sensory scary movies, like the ones like Hush, where it's like she's a deaf
love
woman?
it. Love it.
Like
I've not
Bird
seen
Box,
Hush.
where you.
I
haven't?
like Bird.
That's a good one.
I like the Bird,
Bird Box is alright. I will say I think Hush is better.
No, but we,
Bird Box is good.
I didn't watch Bird
What's
Box.
the new one?
I don't have interest in it.
What's
Did you watch
the...
Scarlet Moon's Mix?
No.
Neither
I
did
have a question. No, the movie with.
I don't think there's any videos.
The movie with
I've seen
wait,
pictures.
the movie with Jim from The Office. What's that called?
That's
The Hush something.
No. The Hush is on Netflix.
A Quiet
You're
Place.
talking about Quiet Place.
A Quiet
yeah.
Place. So we were supposed to get A Quiet Place too.
Yeah,
And
quarantine
I
said no.
loved
It's
A
coming.
Quiet Place.
Miss Rona said don't do that.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
I thought it was supposed to happen like this year.
I thought it was, but I guess I
No,
don't
but
know.
yeah, they were like, we can't. Like, I don't know what their deal is. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
But they're
Well,
just
what
like,
scares you
oh,
about
Quiet
it?
Place
What do
can't
you
be
like
played.
about it? Like that's
What,
what I
the
wanna
first
know.
one?
Right. Well, what about those like sensory
I
ones
loved
scare you?
so much that, like, you can't even speak.
Yeah. Well, that's
Like,
why
I
think
love it. It's so scary.
I'm so fascinated by that because a lot of times, and I still haven't figured out. I'm still working on it. But a lot of times when I
Yeah.
create like monster characters, a lot of times they're blind, and I don't know why.
And
I don't know why that.
a lot of the movies, you don't even barely see the monsters.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
you
the
don't
best.
even see who's attacking these people.
And that's also the best
That's
and
the
the
same
scariest is that you're like, what
Yes.
does this thing look
And that's
like?
the same thing with that in the Tall Grass movie. Like, you
Yeah.
never see the
Have
monster.
you seen that
You're
in the Tall Grass?
In the
No,
Tall Grass.
I'm scared to
It's
watch it. You
so
scared me to watch that
good. It's so good.
It is so good.
I really want to watch
It's
it.
like
but you
one
told
of
me
those
it
same
fucked you
things
up for days, and
where,
I was like,
like-
I can't watch this. I'm just.
I didn't. Well, okay, it fucked me up in a mental sense, not in the sense like
I'm a
Insidious
scaredy
fucked me
cat.
up for days
See,
in
my
the
thing-
sense where I was like, I cannot sleep without
Yeah.
a nightlight.
Yeah,
but
that movie's
in the Quiet Place
fucked
fucked me
up.
up in the sense that I was like, there's a lot to think about.
Okay.
But
Also-
it wasn't like, oh my god, I'm scared to walk.
Yeah.
Like,
But also,
It was
have you
just like,
played
whoa.
Fallout
I've not.
games at all? Have you
no,
played Fallout?
I this is the truth
Fallout-
for me. I love watching scary movies, but I hate playing scary games. I cannot do
Okay.
it.
No,
Well,
that's what
Fallout
I'm trying to
isn't
talk about.
scary.
Okay, no,
I
Fallout.
don't know that because I
Okay,
can't
Fallout
play
is
it.
not technically scary. Okay, Six, you played Fallout, right?
I mean, I've watched people.
In
play it,
general. So you go into the simulator where you go back in time before the nuke hit the area. And it's like a cul-de-sac, right? And when you go into the middle, there's like this dog thing that tells you to kill people or something. And it gave me nightmares for literally like 2 weeks. Like,
Do you
I was
guys have recurring
scared.
nightmares?
I do. Actually, I'm getting.
Wait, what?
I'm currently getting
Reoccurring
medicated
nightmares.
for nightmares.
My
Really?
nightmares are just
Yeah.
so strange. I don't
I am
even
on
want to
a
think about
If
medication.
it.
you don't mind speaking,
Yeah.
what are your recurring ones?
Well, I have a lot of. I basically have fever dreams all the time.
Okay.
Like all of my
Yeah.
dreams are like acid trips, basically.
Yeah, see, I either don't dream or I'm like, ah!
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I will have
I told you about
dreams.
mine where the babies were like baking on the sidewalk and I was
Ooh,
terrified.
scary.
And I'm like, this is fucked up. I don't like this.
Before I was like, dreams mean something. I'm like, I have had the
So
weirdest
horrible.
dreams that I've ever had.
Yeah,
in my
I'm like, I
entire
had a dream where I was on a raft and I pulled up to the exit and my aunt walked out of the woods with balloons and floated away.
Literally.
Like, that's not...
See, that's fine. My shit is
Yeah.
like people are dead or like there's
Yeah.
some kind of
Well,
fucked
let
up
me ask you
animal
this,
having a
though.
seizure.
When you guys sleep, is it restful sleep? Because I guess for me,
No, I have to force
I
myself
only
into
have
sleep.
PTSD dreams at this point. Like, I just have
Really?
stressful dreams all the time.
See,
It's
I
Same.
either don't have
relaxing.
dreams or I have... If I have dreams, they're either very fun and I can fly, because I'm
Yeah.
a lucid dreamer, so I can
Oh,
take
I'm
control
so
of my
jealous.
dreams.
I want to lose
So,
so,
like,
so bad.
I can do that most of the time, but sometimes I can't, and that's when it's the scary ones. And that's usually when it's a scary dream. This is lame, but usually when it's a scary reoccurring dream, it's about me serving. Like, it's about me like, being
But
at
mine
Mr.
is
Sushi
like,
or Chili.
I have
had a
to-
dream like 2 weeks ago actually that I worked at Chili.
Yes! What I'm saying is like
I still tell people about our the most amazing memory of Chili's, other than the horrible kids' night that I had one time there,
Oh,
where it was literally awful. But my biggest memory was you being like, when no one was coming to the front, and you'd be like, hang on, I'm gonna do Glamorous by Fergie, and you
I will say Chili's got a fire playlist. I would spell it glamorous
But
for
it
my
was
legs.
literally
Yeah.
only our one boss. It was only
when Rich was working.
Yeah, it was only Rich. Yeah.
Also, when he would stalk us at Plato's Closet.
not the
I'm still
Plato's
embarrassed about
closet.
that. I'm still embarrassed about that.
Yeah.
What were we
But-
talking about? We were talking about something important.
I have a question. I don't remember what
what's
we're talking
your
about, but I
question?
have a question for both of y'all.
Yeah.
Um,
Am I a fag? Yeah.
I guess I don't need to ask it anymore. I was curious. I've always said, if I were to recreate any horror movie, I would
Yes.
recreate either Hellraiser or Clue.
Ooh.
Not Clue.
I would!
Who would I be in Clue?
You would be Mrs. White, the house.
Ah.
Or Miss Scarlet.
Okay.
I like Miss Scarlet.
You would be Mrs. Peacock
No, you
or
would
Yvette.
be Miss Scarlet.
No, Morgan would
No,
be
you'd
Yvette.
be
You'd be Miss Scarlet.
You'd be Miss Peacock.
No, you would be Miss Peacock or Yvette, and you would be Scarlet or Miss White.
Yeah, I'm
okay,
getting
I would be
very
the one who
Scarlet
does,
vibes
I
from
killed
you.
Yvette.
I would be Wadsworth.
Yes.
Or
And
I'd
then
be
at
Mrs.
the
White.
Well-
and then I like to picture that at the end of all of it, we all agree that we all collectively killed the person.
Yeah, us are just
We're
playing.
like,
on it.
yeah, we all did
Right.
it.
We all
What's
did it.
good?
Well, here's what I would
What do you wanna
So yeah, what movies
This
would you
adds
recreate?
to a question I was going to ask you.
Okay.
I was waiting to ask you anyways. I would either Hellraiser or I was just thinking Rocky Horror, which we have discussed at some point. And we will
Yes.
do at some point.
With
a
the Odd
Rocky
Presents
Horror-
cast. At a time.
But
we've
But
been
what I'm
what would
saying
the Rocky
is-
Horror cast be go?
What do you mean?
Like
out
if
of
it
Odd
was
Girls?
us, yeah, who would you cast?
I would be Riff Raff Duh,
Duh.
because that's who I always want to be. If not, then I guess I'd be Magenta, but I would want to be Riff Raff.
Yeah.
Because I like being bald and creepy and one shoulder a foot higher than the other.
Even if you had hair, you
I
would
would
love being
put
creepy.
you as
You can be
the
honest.
investigator. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I would put you as Frankenfurter.
No, I'm really leaving.
Right. I've had enough. This podcast is canceled. I
Close
would
the
put you.
cops on the way
I
out.
put you as Frankenfurter. Me as Riff. I would put Pinky as Magenta.
Interesting.
I
Can
would.
I be the observer?
Can you imagine?
Yeah. Very fast.
And also, me and Pinky's chemistry would be really funny.
Stunning.
I would put Jessica Marie as
I need my hair back.
Columbia.
Yeah.
That's not your fucking hair. It's behind
First
your
of all,
back, bitch.
Okay, but you better put the shit on there.
I would
my hair,
put-
you cat.
I would put Tara as.
We all know
both-
she's Dr. Scott.
She's Dr. Scott, but I would also put her as Meatball.
Of course, yeah.
But I would have her ride in on a tricycle,
Ugh.
like a really tiny
Like the
one.
creepy,
like,
like Saw type shit.
Yeah,
like I
instead
get
of a
the
motorcycle,
bag.
yeah, I
I
would
want her
also
to
do
be
that.
Meatball, but not Meatball from the movie Meatball, like Meatball the Dracula.
Yes, yeah.
She just
I would put.
doesn't-
I think I would put Katrina would have to be Janet.
Yeah, I think she'd be a great Janet. And
I think she would.
Yeah.
I would put Cora, but in drag
Yeah.
as Brad.
Yeah! That's how I live.
And then for Rocky, I don't know. For Rocky,
I'm not allowed
Nick
to say
Seeger.
what I want to
Was
say.
I was gonna say, we need trade.
yeah, we need Nick Seeger, because can you imagine him doing a tilt and a fucking golden thong? Like,
Oh, wait.
Okay, work.
Who would you cast?
I mean, honestly, probably about the same. I would either want to be Frankenfurter or... Well, that's... I do want to say this, though. That's one of the reasons why I would want to remake it, is because I really like the original, but every remake I've seen has been bad. But I think what the original misses, and what I feel like I learned...
Except for when season 6 did.
So wait, I have one
Or
question.
Courtney was
True.
Frankenfurter and Bianca was...
Well, but just even in general, I feel like the show misses what you don't know, because I read the script of the third one, which never happened.
What was the second one?
The second one was called Shock Treatment, and it didn't have anything to do with... It's like alternate universe.
Okay.
It's worth seeing, but it's like alternate universe Rocky Horror with the same actors,
Yeah.
similar roles.
Tim Curry still?
Tim Curry's not in it.
Oh.
But like Riff Raff is like a creepy doctor
Curry
who
sounds
does like
good.
electroshock stuff. It's real weird.
And
but it's-
Aiden Zane plays...
No, but what in the third one, you learn a lot more about Frank's mother and like their relationship, and that then gave me more to play with when I went in to play Frank the 2 times I've done it. Because Frank really has issues with, like, he's very queer in the sense that he wants to be accepted.
Yeah,
he
totally.
wants so badly, and that's why, like, I feel like I really struggled with the Laverne Cox version because they made I'm Going Home this really funny thing.
And it's not... For me,
it's
that's
not.
the only time in the show that it should be completely
It should
serious.
be so serious.
Everything else should be, like... Well, not everything, but some songs in there should be serious with a mix of funny. That's the only one to me that should read as completely serious.
Yeah. Well, even as playing, like, when I've played Frank, especially the second time, because the first time I treated Frank as, like, he's this, like, really, like, not all-powerful, but he is, like, so, like, in control, and he
I
wants
kind of view him
control.
as a demon.
He is. I realized that I was like, oh, he's afraid of losing control. It's not that he has control, he's afraid of losing
he's
it.
afraid of losing the slight control
And
that
so-
he has, yeah.
When I played him the second time, I worked more on fear of losing control.
Well, because I even thought, like, when we were doing it together, when I played Riff Raff, I was even thinking, Riff Raff, Loki has more
Riff
power than
Raff.
Frank because he's taking
He does.
care of everything.
Yeah.
And so I was alluding to that, and that's why I looked so
Yeah.
annoyed with you in a lot of the scenes, is because
Yeah.
I was like, I'm doing everything, and you're
Literally,
scared of
you're
losing
doing
what I'm
everything.
doing.
Well, in which I love Riff Raff having a moment at the very end of being like, well, they never liked me. And it's like, I love that that's...
Yeah, his breakdown. Yeah.
Everyone, because I mean, really, I think in the long run, what Rocky Horror, so many people miss is it's like, it is legitimately about hurt people hurting people.
Yes.
Frank is a hurt person and he destroys everybody else's life in the process. He destroys Riff Raff's life, Janet's life, Brad's life.
The only person who doesn't destroy is
Everyone's life.
Magenta's.
Pretty
And that's
much.
because they're in cahoots.
Yeah, and that's like the thing is, I feel like, but even Magenta's like,
Fuck this.
I'm just your servant at this point, and I have you're treating me like shit.
Totally.
Because
Okay,
like
then
even
I'm
in the
gonna
scene
have
where
this
he's like, when he says like, or Magenta says, "I ask for nothing," and Frank says, "Well, then you'll receive it in abundance."
Yes,
and it's like,
yes.
Frank is not nice to anybody, and he
No,
destroyed
totally.
Columbia's life. He destroys Eddie's life. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like he destroys everybody's life in the process.
Yeah.
And then the people that he's hurt, Riff Raff and Magenta, take vengeance upon him because
Of the shit that he's
because
been doing.
of the shit he's
yeah.
done. Yeah. So
Totally.
that being said,
I
that's
would
why
love to
would
remake that.
Me too.
I was getting
yeah.
into it.
I mean, and then the whole trans thing, I think, would be important to.
Agreed. And especially
place.
like with our cast, like, I guess not a majority, but at least half are trans. But yeah, I think that's also cool that we have one of the best shows in Cincinnati, and
I agree.
also the fact that it's headed up by a majority now, because there's 4 out of
yeah.
7 being
Absolutely.
trans. That's
Absolutely.
fucking sick.
Yeah. But I'm also like I had a conversation with Jessica about it the other day, and she was like, "Yeah, I want to see more people of color," and I was like, "You're right."
I agree.
No, I agree.
I
with you.
want
like,
Robin to culture down here so
ugh,
bad, bitch.
same.
The
I
only
love
issue
them.
is literally Corona. Because I
Right,
don't want to be like,
yeah.
drive an hour and a half to do a Corona show.
Right. I would live though. I love Robin so much.
Oh my god. She just won.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, one
Face Off.
Face Off. Yeah.
Season 3.
So sick.
Um,
Their art
who is...
has been amazing.
Selena has been... Or she asked me to do season 3 as well.
Really a Face Off.
Yeah, she messaged me asking me
Are
to
you
do
gonna
it. Well, no, she asked me to do season 3.
Oh.
And it was
okay.
right as Drag Me was starting, so I was like, I can't go to Louisville on Sunday and Columbus on Monday. There's no fucking way.
Would you do season 4 if asked?
Yeah,
I think you would. I think you should.
I think I would. I think I think
That's
I would
really
do pretty
cool.
well. I don't think that I'm going to ever audition for Dragula.
Really? I was just gonna ask you about that.
My thing that I've been talking to Hannah about. You are?
No, I said I think they're auditioning soon.
Are you going to audition?
Considering it, just a lot of it for me is I'm afraid, which means I should do it, but I'm afraid of trying to put together a video when most of the people that I like video with or have videoed with in the past are not in town or not available.
That's fair.
I'm trying to figure out like.
So if you
what
are
that would
going
look
to like
Hit a
try,
drive-in.
Oh, good idea. Yeah. Or
if
Scott,
you are
maybe.
going to try out for like a thing, what is your video supposed to like consist of?
Depends on
both
where
are
you're doing
dependent. Yeah.
And for Drag Race,
Because I know Drag Race.
Drag
would be,
Race, they want like 20
completely
runways. They
whatever
want an
the drag.
acting challenge. They send you a
Yeah.
script for.
Like,
They want
Drag
I
Me
do
to
not
Hell and
want
all
it
that.
to be overproduced though, because
Yeah.
I really, really, really liked Max's.
Yeah.
I still watch it to this day.
Me too. It's so
because
good.
it's so cool and it's so overproduced in such a cool way that it's
Yeah.
so aesthetic. But they don't want that.
Totally.
They want it to be very home video. And then Dragula, they don't care as much about how produced it is or if it isn't or isn't produced, but a lot of it depends on like, I don't know, pushing yourself. Because like the 2 times that I've auditioned for it, it was like you have to do, your glamour, your horror, your filth looks, and then you have to do like a public display of weirdness to kind of prove that you can do a dare.
So what
you
would
have to
be
do a
the
filmed scene? That's not as hard as Drag
So
Race. Drag Race is hard.
So for me, I would
Drag Race would be mad hard, but like Dragula.
Last time I auditioned for both, I did it in the same month. I auditioned for Dragula and Drag Race.
Was that when
in
I
the
helped
same
you
month.
record? Or no, because that was before Dragula was out.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
Yeah.
But like filming a like kind of introductory about yourself, is Dragula easier than Drag Race?
In a sense,
Because I like
Drag Race, they give
I
you,
like
like,
watching
60
Dragula
questions.
more.
yeah, Drag Race,
Fair.
they give you like a million things you have to do. They're like, we want 20 runways. We want like
They want
we're
you
gonna
to
send you a
answer.
script and you have to act this out. You have to do this. You have to give us a sample of your snatch game. You have to
Yeah,
do
because
this,
I prefer Dragula.
When I was talking to they were gonna season 4. Yeah. When I was
so
talking
I
to
don't
Hannah
know
about
about
it, what I
season
said
two.
is that like my aesthetic would fit in better on Dragula.
I agree.
But the problem
Absolutely.
is that I don't craft and sew.
True.
And
Yeah.
I
You can
cannot
learn.
keep up. I can learn, but me learning in a year or 2 years or whatever is not the same as somebody that has been sewing for 8 years and creating special effects makeup. So I'd rather go on
Yes.
Drag Race and say, you know what, I can tone down my makeup for this acting challenge and look pretty for an acting challenge. And then when it comes to runway and they say, fucking Circus Eleganza, I can walk out my stilts and do my own
But see,
face and
that's
be
where-
real with my own aesthetic. But I can tone it down for the challenges.
Yeah.
And I think that I would do better in Drag Race in the sense that I can act my ass off. I can't sing that well, but I can hold a tune.
But that's
I know
where
I can pick up a
start.
dance because I've been
Yeah.
watching these fucking videos of them dancing in the top 3, and I can pick up the dances as they're doing it. So
Yeah.
I know that I'd be fine in a dance challenge. But what I'm saying is I would rather be on Dragula, but I know for a fact that I would perform better on Drag Race, and it would be a bigger platform.
I hear you. For sure.
I mean, that's where I start. Like, I love Drag Race, but like, I do feel bad for the people who are like sitting
Bad.
up there and they're bad.
Well,
Like, I feel bad for them because
What's
people
up?
are just tearing their asses apart.
I will say that was one thing I really liked about this last season was I felt like this last season didn't feel so
Yeah, it wasn't.
aggressive.
approachable.
Yeah,
It
it was
didn't
not
feel
like they were just ripping them
this
to
last season,
shreds.
what? Are you talking All Stars or are you talking?
Well, I'm talking
season
like,
12.
season 12
Because
because
that was RuPaul's
Who
best
was-
friend race.
Who was the girl that
Right.
was wearing the kitty wig every time?
That was
Aiden.
Monet in season 10.
No, not Monet.
Aiden.
Oh, Aiden.
I felt so bad for Aiden.
She did just fine though because she ruined everyone else in the finale with her final look. She
Yes,
ruined
that shit was
everyone else.
sickening.
Yes.
No one else had a look
Yes.
like this, so she's fine. I mean, that is an important point, is that Aiden would be under the umbrella of an alternative performer.
Yes.
Yes.
As with Crystal.
I agree
When
with
other
you.
performers that are not alternative performers walk on stage, they're pretty, they're approachable looking,
Yes.
they're wearing a dazzling costume. But when I walk on stage,
got you off
it's
this.
more aggressive.
I feel like
or
I
more
have to do
challenging.
more as an entertainer,
I
too.
feel like I have to win them over, and half the time,
Yes.
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 unless I'm on the microphone beforehand talking to them, making them laugh, then they aren't gonna like what I'm
Yeah.
I had this problem last Saturday where I was being the bucket girl. Not
Yeah.
last Saturday. It was like
A
a
couple
couple
Saturdays
Saturdays ago. And I noticed all the like pretty bitches were getting so much money that I even had to go into my own bag as the bucket girl to tip a girl because I felt so bad. Because
Was
she
it
did
me?
so, and barely anybody was tipping her.
Yeah.
But I will say that's also dependent on the song choice too, because it's like if you do a boring song, then yeah, you're gonna make less.
Yeah.
So
I warned you I was hammered.
let's talk about
Yeah.
what's your favorite numbers that you've seen me and Stix do?
My favorite for you will always be the
Me?
No, Stix.
Oh.
It will always be the one with the bag of rocks. number. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I did Florence and the Machines, and I did What the Water Gave Me, and I did it.
Sticks. Like, wait, what? The Rocks?
Yeah, I did it as a wife who...
Yeah, the Stones, you brought out, like, the Stones. That's my favorite number for you. I did it as a wife who was, like, I printed out a picture of a Victorian couple, and then I, like, brought the frame out, and she, like, took the picture out of the frame, and then ripped it, and then, like, threw herself into the river. Yeah, that's my favorite one for you.
I was thinking about that the other day. I should do that soon.
That's my favorite for you. It was, like, a kind of, like, baby blue dress or something. Mm-hmm. That's my favorite for you. Yeah. My favorite number for you is you did that number on the stilts to Chase's song, and that shit was tight. Like,
yeah, that is probably one of my favorites. Look up
that's
Flowers Remind Me of Death by Haskell. That's Haskell.
That was tight.
He is sickening.
Because that's bringing back into what I was talking about.
I will say I really like that that's something that you've started to do, is taking local artists and doing their numbers. And because Jessica Marie
did Blase.
But I think that that's what's great about even like what I do and what you do and whatever, like you by going out on a limb and doing a local artist, you then encourage other people, because I've had many conversations with Jessica Marie where she's like, I want to do Blase, and I'm like, no, that's great. What we can do in Cincinnati is I was just talking to somebody about this last night, like we can take like, great, you know Blase, great, bring her into Odd, then we can
cross-promote. For our next show at Cabaret.
Yeah, absolutely.
Put this on the record, support Blase, support Haskell, support Stixen Stones, support Be a Brat, support auratannen, support Jessica Marie Jones. Who else can we go off with?
But I mean everybody. But that's what I'm saying.
I'm really drunk.
What I really would love to see with Cincinnati is I'd love to see like
us cultivate a culture of
like photographers, painters, like all of us interconnecting.
For Tori's birthday, I bought her a Be a Brat shirt and serotonin lashes.
Yeah.
But
we got spoiler alert.
Support your artists, honestly.
Yeah, totally.
I mean,
well, and that's true. I do a lot of local artists as far as music recently. Like I like it. Because I've done Blase, I've done Bia, I've done Haskell, I've done Ray Soleil, the siren song, multiple times now.
Absolutely.
I really enjoy like plugging my friends, because I'm like, if anything, people are going to go home and listen to them, and if they don't, then they heard it once.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, and I think that's what, like, Raven, who, I know a lot of people don't like her, but she's one of my favorite performers just because she's so electric, and she doesn't have to do much, but the way that she presents herself and her energy is so electric. But what I love about her is she said, somebody asked her, like, well, why don't you do popular songs? And she said, because I don't want to do popular songs. I want to introduce you to a new song. And by watching...
Totally.
I have learned, like, 15 songs that are songs that I had never heard before.
Well, and that's what I want to do. That's what I want to encourage people to do, is to listen to the local artists and uplift people that are in our community.
Absolutely.
And get them further.
Like
because,
we said in the first
if they get further, then I get further.
Absolutely.
And then we all get further. You know what I mean? Like... And so, like, I feel like it's lame to sit here and be like, oh, like, I'm only going to do top 40s, when my friends have amazing songs that deserve to be heard, that, frankly, without me doing them, the gay community would not hear.
Right, absolutely.
But, yeah, like,
and
that's
what I'm saying is,
the kind of thing
our friends are sickening. You should plug them.
Totally.
Well,
and it's also, like, I can't expect to be, like, plugged by my friends if I'm not doing the work to help them, too.
Going back to the original topic, is that or is that not, like, whether you're doing trauma work on stage or performing a local artist's music, is that or is that not what drag is about? It's about uniting people and educating people.
And
so whether
creating that atmosphere.
I'm educating you about cutting or I'm educating you about a local artist.
Totally.
What I would love to see.
Well, and even deeper, a local artist trauma that I am performing.
Right.
Like, as well. You know what I mean? Like,
yo, that fucking 911 Be a Brat, plug Be a Brat, stream now.
She'll be on here, I think.
But that
maybe
Be a
next
Brat,
week, actually.
Really?
I'm going to message her. She's going to be on here to talk about drag and music.
And
they were lit when you did 911 the other day at Cabaret.
Really? I felt like they did not enjoy it
that's what I was getting on
I mean, I didn't watch it.
It got quiet.
I was back.
It got very
weirdly
quiet.
Because it was like, kill a cop, and I'm like,
I was backstage, and it wasn't that I was looking at anybody's faces, because I could see your silhouette, and I was watching you perform, because we were about to go out afterwards, because you were the last one. But after you were done, or like as it was wrapping up, people got lit about it. So I don't know.
Okay.
I was
So when I
like, when I first started performing it, people were like, "Yes," because I was just walking on stage, and then like most of the time during it, I was like, "They
during it,
hate
it was
this.
dead quiet.
Really?
I watched a video.
Yeah. I got a video on YouTube. I'll
Quiet.
pull it up. But
Like
yeah,
it's
I
like
was
killing
they
the
hate
cop.
this.
That can be sometimes a good thing, and that's what I've had to learn through doing.
Is that
But
it's
also, yeah.
polarizing for
It's
sure?
like if you get, because the same thing happened when I did I'm Here that night was because
Yes.
I
Yeah.
came out and a few people got really loud and then it got real quiet.
Yeah.
And that is always nerve-wracking when you're doing something that vulnerable or something political or whatever.
That-
It's like,
yeah.
am I upsetting somebody? Do they hate me? But a lot of times
Yeah.
what I've learned, and I've had to learn it from other people watching me, is I've had a lot of people watching me that goes, like, people are getting quiet because they're focused.
They're focused on
because
it.
they're
and
listening.
That's
and
a
that's
good
what
point.
I like.
'Cause
That's
I
what I
didn't
realized
even
about
take that
halfway through because I
into-
realized that all eyes were on me. It wasn't that they weren't paying attention.
Yeah.
It was more so that it was just like, whoa. But
They're
at
not sure
first,
what
when
to
they got
do.
quiet, I was like, oh shit, like.
Yeah.
I'm going to get canceled.
Yeah,
Like,
I did
oh
not
my God.
even take that into consideration that people are being quiet because they're like,
Well, I mean,
learning.
that was a weird audience, anyways. For
Yeah.
our odd shows, it was a lot of
So
people that
when
had
we-
never been there before.
Yeah,
but
truly.
I really think that people don't always know what to do, and so a lot of times they're
Yeah.
being challenged by
that
the art.
goes back
Yes.
to being uncomfortable
Yeah.
sometimes is
It's
good.
helpful.
And like
Yeah.
this was a
It's
different
good.
vibe, but our show before that, when I did All You've Got Is Gold,
Yeah.
I was talking to Cora's friend Xavier about it afterwards, and he was like, "That is a magical moment where everyone in the bar gets really quiet and they are
They have
focused on
to,
what's going
yeah.
on." And so I genuinely think that that's why people get quiet like that, is because
I
they
agree.
don't want to disturb the artistry and they're focused
The
on
thing
the
that's at
message.
work,
Yes.
totally.
They're not, and I mean, I feel like with that number, it would be easy
But
to get really
so-
loud and get really pumped about it. But I
This-
think it's important for people to be like,
To
yeah,
take that
I
moment.
listen
Yeah,
to
So
it.
this talks back to like us seeing ourselves in like a negative light and also
Yeah.
in a positive light.
And that's true.
Because
totally.
like me, if I hear quiet, I'm just like, oh my god, I'm fucking. Like,
and that's
the
what I was
worst
thinking the
person
entire
alive.
time I was performing BS song,
But
and then I
then
got done, and
somebody
everyone was like, "Wow!" And
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, they
Yeah,
did like
you're
this."
hyped if somebody's hyped for you, but like if you say something and somebody's quiet, you're just like, oh my god, I'm the worst person alive.
Yeah.
It's easy to feel
But
that
it
way.
also
Yeah.
seems, but like now
Well,
I see
and-
it like
and-
as like if
Audiences are hard to read, so you
Yes.
can look
Totally.
at someone and they could be making a face
Sometimes
at you,
people-
and then they could come up to you afterwards and be like, "I loved you. You were
Yeah, you're the
amazing."
best of the
Yes.
night. Yeah,
You don't
totally.
know, like
because I always want to be like a comedian,
Sure.
but like I'm too scared to be one.
it's hard.
Yeah,
It's hard to get up
totally.
there and talk.
I went to grab
Okay,
your
ladies, we have about an hour and a half of content
Yeah,
right now
we've
for me to
got
cut
plenty.
down. I will do all that. So let's this
Go
was
smoke. Let's smoke crack outside.
I'll cut that out too. Actually, I'll keep that in just now because of that. Anyway,
I will not be.
it's,
What's wrong with y'all?
Stixen, thank you so much for joining us
Of
today.
course, thank you for
Plug
having
your
me.
Instagram.
Yes, I will.
Yeah.
Do that, and then I'll put it in the comments too.
Perfect. You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Both are just under my drag name, Stixen Stones. You can follow me under official Stixen on Twitter. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Patreon. If you want to support my work, you can give me money.
Period. I'll be plugging
Yeah.
all of those links
And
as
if
well.
you don't want to give her money, send it to some bail funds, bitch.
Hell yeah.
Yes,
Please
and I'll be
feel
plugging
free
those
to
links
do
as
that.
well. My name is auratannen. You can find me auratannen on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. I also have a thread list that I will post in my description of this video. Thank you so much for tuning in. Morgan, would you like to plug you?
No.
Okay.
But sayonara.
Okay, work. Morgan is an entity that shall not be discovered.
I'm
so
skep as
thank you
fuck
guys.
Dottie online.
Work. Thank you so much for tuning in, you guys. We will be back next week where we will be talking to Be a Brat about music and making. Yeah, we'll be talking to Be a Brat about music, drag, making music in drag, as well as the protests going on in Columbus that we haven't really been able to see because we're not from Columbus. So please tune in. This one will be a video instead of a voice recording, so that'll be really cool. Get into it. We'll see you then. Thanks.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.